Hi, I'm Marty Grisani, and this is The Marty Grisani Show. As a full-time real estate investor and business owner, I have a real fascination of finding the key principles for business success and personal development. This show is a reflection of my personal mission to find out what truly makes somebody successful in business and in life. We will find tools and tactics that they've used to reach those levels. If you're the type of person who is not satisfied with average and you have a hunger for learning that will never cease, this show is for you. Welcome to the show.
Probably need you to go into, who you are, what you do, but I think it is cooling off a bit. I always think this though. I think that like the quality will win, right? I think like quality will always get attention. I think the days of the 1990s hasn't been touched in a while house in Penfield or Webster or Hilton that you can just, maybe it'd be like a no-brainer, 50,000 over asking, last year. Yeah, that's probably done. But if you do the quality work and it's done the right way, I still believe that there will be buyers for that.
There's just so low inventory. I mean, the higher end houses might dip, like the 500-600, like those, but the houses you're doing, it's probably not going to affect much but it'll be interesting because I've only been in this for 5 or 6 years. So I've never been in a dip of real estate,
Dude, it's so funny you say that because no, we haven't. We've always been in la la land. I think we've had like the careers of, not just saying it's us, it's a lot of people who you could have bought and been dumb and it still would have made money.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like I really give like a lot of credit to people who have been through 3 of these. Like they saw the 2001, they saw 2006 and 7, and then, or maybe they saw what happened in like, I don't even fucking know the one before the 2001. I just know there was one in 2001 and then the GFC. So if you're a top level podcaster like I am, the GFC is the great financial crisis. Okay. Yeah. Just so you know.
I love it. I love it.
So what have you been doing? What are you working on?
Yeah. So we I just closed the one in Florida. So we got that, up and running. And now I'm just figuring out how to, like my business partner, like get me out of doing the busy work and that sort of stuff and get back onto the deal finding and marketing to get more of these.
So this is awesome, guys. So you guys got a little bit of a preview because Chris and I, we're buddies. We've been in this business for a couple of years. We both left our full-time jobs. I kind of want to get into that with Chris a bit too, but I'm really excited to talk to this guy because, this is somebody who, and I want to get into this, Chris, is that there was a time where, and it reminded me of a story that I heard from like Patrick Bet-David, where he was like, I want to quit. And then his dad was like, just do one more day. Or like Ed Mylett, his new book, right? And we're big, Chris and I he actually got me onto Ed Mylett, is, the power of one more. And I remember there was a conversation we had where you're like, dude, I think I'm going back to my job. And we were just shooting the shit. And like, there was nothing that, I was just a sounding board. There was nothing really like I was going to give you anything, but you were like, I think you made a decision like one more day or one more week or, whatever it was. So guys, I'm going to get into that because I think this is really important for a lot of people to hear this, but I have Chris Lawrence on today. He's an absolute juggernaut. He's a full-time real estate investor. He is somebody who flips houses. He's wholesaled. He's really done everything. He's got rentals. He's got a portfolio. He is now a self-storage guru. He's got properties in New York and Florida. I'm going to go into that a little bit with him, but Chris, first of all, welcome to the show, but I'm not going to let you off really that easy where you can just go, yeah, thanks Marty for having me. I want to get back right to where I was just talking to you about with that power of one more. So go into that for us because I like to get right to the effing meat. And you were really close to going back to, by the way, a sweet W-2, $100,000+ job. It's not like you're fucking, pulling your hair out every day. It was a nice sales job. You knew what you were doing. You were doing very well. Why the fuck didn't you just go back?
Yeah, I mean, so we've had many conversations and I was like a month or two away from going back. And man, it was just, I wasn't fulfilled with what I was doing. And when I first started, I'll kind of give you a little context. I'm like Marty said, full-time investor in Rochester, started flipping, wholesaling, acquiring rentals, had some decent success, but just couldn't get to where I needed to go fast enough. And now fast forward, self-storage kind of got me there faster. But to your point, man, like I was like, man, I don't know why did I do this? You're having the limiting beliefs and fear and all of that. Had a baby on the way. My wife was leaving her job, so all the stress and pressure and yeah, man, it's not easy. But I was just kind of going through it and learning and kind of just went all in on storage because I knew for me the flipping's nice, right? Like like one day you're cash rich, the next day you're cash poor, and in New York, it takes, 120 days or 180 days to get paid. And I just wanted something that I could create, automate, systematize, and work when I wanted. I do like to work, but I also want to be able to live, and I didn't see any other way outside of going bigger, and buying bigger deals. And, when I was preparing for this, to run the risk. So from 2017 to 20, I accumulated probably $500,000 of equity and wealth. And fast forward from 2020 to 2022, I have a cost basis or loans on properties of the tune of 4.6 million, and the property values are valued, probably right around $8 million. So I have, and it's that almost never happened. Like I literally was almost ready to walk away from it. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
I love it. No, I love it. I just, there's still something that's deep down there. There had to have been a switch though, where you're like where it almost is like, it's like you don't even think about it. And then it's like oh, by the way, but there must have been like a little bit of a push or a momentum hit that you're like, I'm not going to go back. I'm going to keep going. Do you remember what that was? Was it the first conversation that you had? Because you got a funny story about your first self-storage deal. Do you think it was that? Or what was it, man?
I just made a decision. Like I had blind faith. Like I joined a mastermind. I spent $10,000 to join this mastermind. I'm just like, all right, people are doing this. So it's like, there's proof of concept. It's like, I just need to surround myself with people that are doing it. I just had blind faith, and I'm super competitive. And maybe at times, like I just have this ignorance that like, I'm going to make it work or I'm going to figure it out. You know what I mean? And, I just was like, I'm doing this until I get a deal. And, I had no other option, and thankfully, it was my fifth cold call, and, use kind of my prior 10 years of sales and building rapport and, kind of what I think my unique ability is. But yeah, man, it was just like, I had to figure it out. I hit the burn the boats mentality, right? It's like, there was no other way out. So I just had to make it work.
I think there's and that's awesome, because I know that's what happened, and that's what I wanted people to hear. Cause I think there's people that want to leave their job, or maybe they're in a position that you were in. And so this is going to be very helpful for them to hear that, like, fuck, do I go back, or, do I just give up? And it's like, there's a struggle, and, we've heard this before, but you're not failing unless you quit, right? But there's a struggle that you got to go through in order to get to that, pushing that rock up the hill. You got to kind of push, and that's hard. But then when it starts to go down, you get that momentum, and it starts to go down the hill. You're like, yeah, that's what happens. But we by the way that sometimes, and I'm glad you went into that. So that's really helpful. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, you do 5 cold calls, and you get this guy in New York. Go in the story, because you're basically like, I'm going self-storage. I do the $10,000 mastermind, and you get amped up. It's not like you had a ton of money probably to pay for that mastermind. So you're like, I got to do this. I got to make this work. But what was that like? Was it just literally the first couple phone calls, and then he's like, yeah, I want to sell? I mean, sometimes you deserve to get lucky after all the punches in the face, right?
Yeah, it was just one of those things. Like I was kind of learning as I was going. Like I was like, okay, I learned how to evaluate a deal and, kind of knew what to talk and say. And then, yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm looking to sell. And what he was looking to get, like, met the kind of rule of thumb metrics. And then, like I went to the property, drove the property, just built rapport, kind of went back and forth. And yeah, we made it work. And yeah, it's unbelievable, and how you can take an asset where we bought it for $2 million, and commercial real estate is valued on NOI, right? So which is net operating income. So we've been able to raise the NOI or top line revenue by like $80,000 just by doing what's called rate management. And that might seem like a lot, but that's like, kind of ballpark, like $750,000 or $1 million in value. And then we're building out, and adding more storage. But yeah.
So what's that process like? What's that build out process like? You're probably learning so much through that too.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's not terrible, but it's like hiring the good people, like hiring the good engineer, working with the town. We're using the same buildings as the old owner did, same contractor. So it's not terrible, but it's, like we're learning through it. Like right now, all the site work is done. They should be starting concrete tomorrow. And then, probably in a few weeks, they'll start, building the buildings.
And there's a need, right? You're seeing that no matter what, you're getting filled up. You have a waiting list, and people need this. So that's why you obviously are building it, right? So you're very confident that you're going to have people that are going to be knocking on your door, looking to store with you. Is that correct?
Yeah. So and storage is based on just radius of like a 1, 3, and 5 mile radius. And through those metrics, there's a shortage of about 70 to 80,000 square foot of storage. So that seems to be proving true because all the other folks are full. And what's crazy is, like, when we bought the property, we have a variety of sizes. So a 5x10 is the smallest, and then a 10x30 is the biggest. When I bought it, we were charging $45 for a 5x10. I am now charging $75 for and
incredible.
Those changes over 350 units it's just unbelievable. Like, and people really don't leave, and the people that do leave, like I've been able to backfill it. Like someone was paying $45, they leave, we clean it out, or the boots on the ground that we have, clean it out, and then it re-rents for $75, and we're right around that 95 to 97% full. And frankly, we probably want to be around 90 to 95% full. So we always have like inventory, for customers.
Okay. That's good. That's good. And I think that's an aha moment for some people, is when they realize that, just increase. I mean, Jesus, that's not just increasing, but you're increasing it. That adds to the value of the property itself, right? So go into that a little bit, because I think that was an aha moment for me when you're discussing just, over the, the scale or over so many units, just a small $1 to $2 increase can actually be tens of thousands of dollars worth of value added to that property. Is that right?
Yeah. So I'll bust the calculator out. So
bust it up.
If you increase, real life example. So we increased most of our units to say $10 a piece times 335 units is an extra $3,300 a month. So if you multiply that times 12, which is a year, is $40,000 in extra income that we're just creating. So these are bought and sold off a cap rate. So a facility of this size is 42,000 square feet, soon to be 52,000 square feet. Trade probably at conservatively a 7 cap, probably, and you want to buy at the higher cap rate and sell at the lower cap rate. So it would sell at probably, we'll just say a 7 cap just to be safe. So just with that increase of the $40,000 a year, I created $475,000 or $575,000 of value to the property just by doing rate increases. I mean, it was mind blowing to me, like what you can do, like, and that was kind of why I wanted to pivot from the single family stuff. It's because, like, you can flip houses, make 50, 60, 70, 80 grand, or, I know you've made 6 figures, which is great, but it's like, when you get into commercial or whatever asset class that's bigger, it's just like the impact is way, way larger. And the cash flows and just, debt pay down. Just, I mean, for me, it just made so much sense. But yeah, it was crazy, man. It's almost like you don't believe it.
Yeah, no, and that's and that's why that got our attention. And obviously, no one deserves it more than you, especially someone that's put in the work. And so that's why I wanted you on here to talk about it. So let's talk about Florida. You obviously you crush it in New York. You got proof of concept. You know what you're doing. At least you have an idea. Things are working out very well on that one. So how did you find Florida, the Florida deal? What does it look like? Is it similar situation? You're going in raising rents. Was there add value? Are you building on this one too? Go into that.
Yeah, so this one is in Florida. My wife's family has a place in Florida, so we want to, I'm big in like the lifestyle by design. Like I want to spend a month or two in Florida at some point down the line, and why not buy a place in Florida? So it's kind of lifestyle focused. But yeah, this property we found cold calling, and I think it's like these people own the property 37 years. And what was cool, and probably a little ego boost for me, but they said it was a husband and wife, owned it for 37 years. Billy was the wife and Keith was the husband. And Billy's like, Keith, like you got to talk to this kid. There's something different about him, like every day.
Wow.
This kid, just seems like, this might work out. And we're able to build rapport. This property it's perfect mom and pop, no website, they're 25 to 30% below market rates, like, just running it like mom and pop, like they're salt of earth people, but not running it like a business. So we'll kind of, we closed on the 1st. We went down there for 3 or 4 days. We have our systems in place. And now really, I wouldn't have to go back unless I wanted to, probably we'll do quarterly visits. And it's probably not as big of a home run or an opportunity, as Southside, the one we bought in New York, but there's room to expand. It's in Florida. They're redeveloping the highways, and, there's 55 plus communities coming in and house, so it's growing. So we have the room to expand if we want, but really it's a beautiful facility. Just run it, rate manage. We have a website and kind of pull our levers to increase the value.
Yeah, and you're not having to be a manager full time there. I mean, you're able to, like, your thing is your why is your lifestyle. It's your family, and this is exactly what gives you that. It gives you your time back, and so you only need a couple of those. They don't all have to be home runs, right? But you get a couple doubles. It sounds like that's a good solid single at the very least. So you get a couple of those, you're golden, right? So no, that's awesome. Now there's something that I've talked about with some of my guests, and I think this is definitely you. And I'm just trying to figure out what it is for people, but there's a level of urgency in the people that I know that have been successful as investors or real estate investors, business owners, people that have been able to take that side hustle and make it their main hustle, right? Why do you have urgency? Like, where does it come from? Is it, one of the things I had a guest on, Steve Foss, and maybe this is you, maybe it's not, but it was for me. He was like, well, I'm a younger brother. So I had like that little syndrome where I had to like perform. I was always like, I wasn't the oldest. So, but people were looking at me and I was always smaller than people. He was like, I was a smaller guy. I'm like, I was a smaller guy too. Maybe it's that. Do I have fucking Napoleon syndrome? But you're a tall, good looking guy. Why is it you? You got the world by the balls. Why do you have so much urgency?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I think I've just always had this fire in my belly. Like I'm competitive. I grew up racing motocross. I just have this belief, and it might be even an ego, that like I'm going to win. And if I don't, I'm going to figure it out. And like I always play in my mind. And I think it comes back to like this brainwashing of like just this positive stuff in my mind of like, I'm going to make it work. And I think it's a little bit of that. And that's kind of how I'm wired. But then also too, like the way I was raised, and I was raised blue collar, like, none of my family was in real estate. I worked for everything I have. And I think growing up that way has served me. And I think when I was younger, I looked at it as like, oh, my parents aren't rich, or parents aren't this or that. But that I now flip that to, that's my advantage, right? Because you could have all the money in the world, but if you can't find a deal, it's not going to do you any good. So it's just like, I just have that hunger of like, I know what it's like not to have. and I want,
Yes.
I just
Yes.
do what I need to do. And like, I have that urgency. I don't know how to put it, but it's like, I have that urgency to like, just get it done. And like, I'm always anxious. Like now it's like, I need to find more deals. And like, like I read a book. It's great. It's called The Gap in the Gain. So it's like we as entrepreneurs, I'm sure your listeners and you were like this, right? It's like, you're always looking at the gap, right? Like I'm at X income, $10,000 a month in income. I want to be at 20. That's the gap. And then there's the gain. Man, look, I came from 0 to $10,000. It's like, that's huge. And like, I think we as, or at least you don't look at that or appreciate that. And you become hedonically adapted to that. But it's like, man, if you were to say I would be making, $8,000 a month passive income, I'd be like, no way. It's so out of the realm of possibility. Like, no way. I would never buy a multi-million-dollar facility, because to me, that was so far out of the realm of possibility and like out of my comfort zone. Like, I just didn't think it was possible. I buy a $2 million facility with my partner, and then a few months later, we buy a 1.4, and it's like, I didn't even bat an eye. It's the same 1.4, but it's like, you just adapt to it. And I think it's surrounding yourself with those people that push you and elevate you to help.
Is that what it is too? You think that's probably the biggest thing, is like just being around people who are doing these types of deals, these types of numbers, because, I think that's been a big thing for us. Joining masterminds has helped us propel just our mindset. It's been something where it's like, hey, these guys are doing big stuff and they're not smarter than me and they're not like working harder than me. That's for sure. So do you think that had a lot to do with it?
Yeah, man, there's something like powerful or magical, whatever you want to call it, when you're with people that are doing stuff way bigger than you. Like, you just rise to their level, right? Like, because I don't even think I've made it or I'm successful in my eyes. Like, I'm still like grinding, like I don't have anything. But when you're in a room with someone that closed on a $12 million storage facility, your $2 million storage facility doesn't feel like anything, But if to a lot of people, and I'm not discrediting that, but it's like, you just rise your level of like expectations and what you want to accomplish. And I think that that's too, like, surrounding, like, my social media is all just positive stuff of like just growth mindset, total ownership, like accountability. Like, if I'm not doing something, it's because of me. Like, how do I get better? And I think that has served me so well that I think if you, like, have that growth mindset and just that hunger, it's like, and you're gonna figure it out. And, I think surrounding yourself with people that are doing what you want to do just exponentially grows and, takes that learning curve and cuts it way down, because like, a few months ago, I joined so it's, June of 2022, I joined that mastermind May of 2021. And like,
Wow.
it happened so fast. It's like that hockey stick growth. And it's like, I heard a quote and I wrote it down here. It's harder than you could ever imagine, but once you get momentum, it's easier than you ever could have dreamed. And it's so true. Because like, now I'm in that point where it's like, my monthly bills are taken care of. So I have that pressure off of that, like, below the line, like taking care of my basic needs. So now it's like, I can do that higher level, Maslow's hierarchy of needs type stuff. So yeah, I mean, that might be a little crazy stuff, but that's
what we're here for. That's what we want to dive into. I mean, that you're so right. I mean, that's where the magic happens. Once you can get your financial, once you can have your, that monthly nut, if you can reach that financial independence, so to speak, through passive investing, then you can go bananas. You can really try things you never did. You can partner on things you never thought you would, because you don't have that stress, which like eats at the energy, which takes away from you able to doing those things. Because it's really just about energy, right? It's really just about the energy to make that fucking other call or to, email that person back. And it's just like, yeah, I'll get to it. And then it's just like, you slog through a bit, but you're right. If you can do those things, then the energy you have is probably insane, where you can go nuts and take care of your family and be there for them too.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, the more I do of this, it's like you can stack it, and almost the easier it becomes. Systematize this, but yeah, like that energy piece, I'm starting to figure that out. Like you can do everything and be all things to all people, but it's like if you really just laser in, like now I'm going to be lasering in on finding more opportunities. So like it's June, 8th or whatever it is. My goal is to buy another facility between now and the end of the year. And that won't happen if I'm doing what I'm currently doing, which is all the it's like the urgent but not important, kind of admin, just kind of setting stuff up, but we're going to be divvying that up. So my business partner is doing that because that's important, but I need to push the ball forward to get, more opportunities and more leads. And so it's no miracle or mistake that once I stop marketing, deals don't come to me, so it's like when I'm marketing and doing the work, I don't know if it's going to come in a month, a year, the 10th call, the 100th call, but I know if you do it over time, you're going to find an opportunity.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, because I thought it was important to talk about, is when we were talking about urgency, you were talking about, growing up and you were like, blue collar, didn't really have, you saw probably people that had money, right? You didn't probably go on those vacations that all your friends were going on, right? If you were like me, your friends were going to Cancun. I didn't even go on a plane until after college. So my first plane ride was for CGI, go for a company, my sales company, and but that fucking got me, dude, because my parents were always like, oh no, like we're poor. We're poor. Like they would joke around about it, but they were, my dad was a teacher, and my mom was like she worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield. So she wasn't, they probably made like $100,000 in between them, which is not poor at all. Right. We had everything that we needed, but I, certainly not anything I really, really wanted. Right. Like, so do you think that was one of the things too? Cause it was for me, like just seeing that. And I was like, this is fucking not what I want with my life.
Right. Yeah. And it's so, yeah. Like I remember young, what my parents, raised me, did great, but at times we struggled. I remember the power going out and not having electric. And I think those things, how I looked at them before was as a negative, but I think that's, as I've shifted my mindset, that is such a positive for me. And just knowing like, yeah, you work hard and good things will happen. And yeah, I truly believe that. And I think if you're given stuff, you're not going to have a great appreciation of what it takes to get that. And and it's just so much sweeter, like it's just to be able to build stuff. And, like I'm creating a job for my cousin, and my goal is to get her, full-time, like our asset managers, so it's just like building a cool little family business. And, it's like what you have with Matt and his wife. And it's just cool, like you're putting food on people's table, and like you just have a sense of pride of doing that. And it's something bigger than just myself. Right. It's like, I think that too has a little bit to do with it.
That definitely gives me energy. And that definitely I can see gives you energy, is like, hey, if I am feeling like, tired or down or anything, it's like, hey, it's not just about you, buddy. You got a partner, and, he's got a family, and you got a family, and you got, hey, Marty, you got 2 cats at home you got to take care of. So,
they need to eat. They need
to eat, and they have expensive pate. So I got to take care of these boys.
Yeah. Right.
So here's something. You're probably one of the more positive people, and you give me a run for my money on my positivity. There's some serious dark times in this industry when you're by yourself, and in this business. How do you stay positive sometimes? Like, when you have like a negative thought, are you like super like on top of it where you're like, nope, that's a bad negative thought. Like you'll know about it right away. Like you said, like, shit, that's a limiting belief. I'm going to get that right out of my skull. Like, how do you deal with like limiting beliefs? How do you deal with like some of the negative thoughts? Do you immediately like, shit, I'm grateful. Like, how do you do it, man? Because it's something I'm always having. Mm-hmm. It's something that I'm cognizant of all the time. Like, that's a negative thought, brother. You got to get, I'm always saying to myself, because I go, shut up. You're being a baby. Get over it. You're such a baby. Let's go. So, but that's not always easy. And that's certainly tough for people who've never had maybe some like, you know, uh, I guess like some real mental strength, like going through something that's been really tough for them. Like for me, it was wrestling. I cut a ton of weight. I was in front of people, getting my ass beat or beating people, and I could, there was a mental toughness that you win when you're in the practice room and you're going crazy. It's just like you and your motocross, one on one on a freaking, something that could kill you, and you're kind of getting nuts there. But so, what do you do? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think it like my wife is a really good sounding board for me, so like I'll, kind of verbalize my thoughts or limiting beliefs, and she'll be like, that may or may not be true. So she is really my rock. And like, I am trying to get better, and I need as much practice as the next person, but avoiding the high peaks and valleys, because I tend to be, you get a deal, you're at 100%. And then the next day is like, you're so drained. You're like at, rock bottom. You want to sell everything and go back.
Yes.
So I think it's, support network, surrounding yourself with people like yourself, listening to good stuff, like podcasts, books, understanding like how the brain works, and just understanding yourself, because we all have limiting beliefs and fears and doubts. I think it's just, understanding what's a thought and what's a belief, and questioning that. It's not perfect, man, but I try to stay active, exercise. I try to do the gratitude. I try to read every morning. But yeah, it's surrounding yourself with people like yourself, and just lifting yourself up. And because it's easy to go negative. Anyone can go negative and blame this, that in the world. But at the end of the day, no one's coming for you. And you just gotta do it, and figure out a way, because it's been done. And like, I'm, was a B, C student. I'm not that in book smart intelligence, but it's like, I'm going to work and I'm going to figure out a way to do it, and I think I carried that around forever. Like, I had these limiting beliefs, like, man, I can't do this. Like, why me? But it's like, why not me? And I read a great book that was like, Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you read it, but like, I read that book, never, my limiting belief was like, I'm not a runner. So I read that book, tested the theory. I ran a half marathon. Like, I could do a marathon, trained, ran a marathon, so it's like, how much are we telling ourselves replaying these limiting stories or beliefs? And I think that's when it's powerful to get around people that are doing, like masterminds, that are doing deals or doing what you want to do. And you tell them these stories, or you see it firsthand, that like, that's just a limiting belief. Like, this guy's doing it. He's, whatever it is. So it's, I think that's been huge for me. It's just surrounding yourself with like-minded people. And you almost feel like when you hang, or at least I do, like hang around other friends or people, you kind of see their limiting beliefs or their kind of fears or the stories they're telling themselves, and you don't relate to it. And it's like, I try to convince people, but it's like, you're not going to convince them. It's like it's easy to tell yourself the story rather than take the action and do the work. I don't know if you find it that way either, but it's like, it's just funny to me,
Oh my God, dude. It's so funny, because if for the thousands and thousands of people listening, go back and re-listen to that, because that's just insane. And it's so true. Couple things, being that it's so much easier to be negative, right? That's so easy. And that is so true, man. It is easier to do that. And I can already tell this, though, because I know you're a nut job like me, in a way where the nut job part is that we're so obsessed with development and personal development because we need it so much.
Mm-hmm.
At least in my head,
100%.
For me, right? Because I have these valleys, but it's like I need to constantly listen to something or read something to just keep on that track, because it's hard, brother, right? It's so hard. It's so much easier to complain or post some video about, what's going on with Trump or Biden, and be like, well, here's the reason, and this is why I'm not X, and, this is why this is going on in my family. And it's like, God, it's so much easier. And it's like you can get sucked down that rabbit hole of just bullshit. But if you like me, and I know you are, you're like, I need to keep that completely separate. Don't care, head down. I'm working on myself for me and my family. Is that you? Is that you, man?
Yeah, like, dude, I don't listen to the news. I that stuff just is draining. Like, if it's something that's going to affect me, it'll affect me. It's like I'm not going to live life in fear and in the news. It's just like because that stuff just drains your energy to do the good stuff. It's like you only have it's like a battery, right? At the beginning of the day, you have 100%. By the end of the day, you're drained. And you need to recharge. And if you're doing that stuff and complaining, and it's like people are always complaining about gas prices. And I posted something on social. It's like, I'm just grateful I can afford gas, right? Like some people can't afford gas and don't have a car, so it's like, I don't know, maybe we need to make more money,
Yeah. And that's that's not even coming at like a negative way. It's like, no, what can I do to,
right. How do I
not be in this situation? Right.
Right. So yeah. So I just try to be positive because it's easy to go negative and I'm not perfect, like, but like I'm always hungry to learn more and to grow. And that's a slippery slope too, because it's like my wife and I were just having this conversation. It's like, yeah, you've been saying the next deal, like, and then I'll kind of relax and chill. But it's like I find I'm most happy like when I'm working and doing what I want to do and growing. But being able to put my foot on and off the gas when I want, because I like working, but it's like I also like I want to travel with my wife and daughter and be with my daughter when all of her events and do whatever I want whenever I want. If I want to turn it off for a week and not do anything, I want to do that. Or if I want to go hard for a week or whatever, it's like I want that freedom and flexibility, to create the lifestyle kind of by design, like what I want to do.
No, and you're doing that, and that's why it's awesome. It's inspiring. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about too is, okay, what does it look like after this? Is it I'm going to continue self storage? Do you have like an area that you like? Is there like, hey, here's the type I'm looking for? Like, how do you source right now? Is it cold calling? Is it letters? Is it texting? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm just cold calling, building a more like niche list, like folks that don't have websites and don't have just kind of bad reviews, and just it's more like zoomed in, and kind of not buying like a bulk list and just cold calling, and for me, like the number that comes to mind, I want to get to the $20,000 a month in passive income,
Got it.
and I should be right around 10,000 at the end of this year, from the storage and kind
It's
of,
amazing.
storage in the rental properties that I've acquired. And I think 20 to me would kind of get me to that number, but it's like, I was looking at my journal, man, when I first started in 18, my goal was $3,000. I would be the happiest person ever. And it's like again, it's that hedonic adaptation, right? Like I got to that 3,000 and then you want 6, you want 8, you want 10. So I think I want to get to 20 just because I want to do cool stuff and be able to do it. And fortunately or unfortunately that requires money. So we got to make some sort of money, but like, I don't know, like I just enjoy it. I enjoy building. Like I said, I want to be able to, my cousin wants to make $4,000 a month, and to her that seems wildly outrageous and crazy. So I want to get her to that number. I just want to build a cool team, grow, just keep having fun with it. So I don't really have an end. I'm 30, just turned 33, and I'm quote unquote retired, right? Like I have my passive income, that covers my bills, but I just want to keep going, and as long as I'm enjoying it. But it's just doing the work, find some more storage. Like I might flip a few houses if I want, like maybe one year and make 40-50 grand, because I set up some SEO and PPC marketing, and but yeah, I mean, just be able to choose what I want to do. And I think once I got into flipping full time, I wish I was kind of envious of you and Matt. You guys have a great system of like, it seemed like anyways, like deal finding, that's your jam. And Matt kind of does the operations, and I just burned myself out because I was kind of doing everything. I was deal finding. I was, managing contractors, doing all that work. And I quickly learned that it's a lot of work to do, or at least I wasn't going to be able to scale to what I needed to do. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I just ramble a lot, but
I love it. No, I mean, it's what it is. It's the truth, right? That's the reality. Yeah, I think it's awesome that you kind of knew. Some people just try to do something just because it's like the cool thing, even if it's brain damage. It's like, yeah, I'm buying rentals because it's like that's what it's that's like the cool thing, and it's like, but do you want to do that?
dude,
And that took me some time to kind of get that.
Same, because I think again it comes back to that ego. Like you want to have the numbers of the rentals and then this and then that. And I have a duplex in Rochester that I wish I could get. If I never saw that again, I would be the happiest person ever. It's like on paper, it's a good deal. Like it's probably worth 180. We bought it for 60. It has not some ideal tenants. It needs a lot of work, and we've done some of the work, and we've taken it to like half the way, and it's kind of like in between. Now it's not worth my time to do that and to get the good tenant in there, but someone it might be, so it's, yeah, man. And I want to hit on a point. I just thought of it. It's like, I think you and I, or at least I know when I was 24, 25 was making six figures and had the society's idea of success, right? I had the 6-figure job. I had the company vehicle. I had I had the house and all this. And it's like, I'm bored. Like, I'm just not fulfilled. It's like, well, this is it. Like, I don't want to do and I think we were fortunate in a way to get lucky or had these successes early on, because I think when people get old, when the older you get, the harder it becomes to go away from that job when you build that lifestyle up, right? Like, it's like my wife and I live pretty lean and mean, but like if you start, buy the bigger house because you got the new job, and then you buy the car, and then you buy this, and then it's just like you just keep rising your income and expenses. So I just wanted to share that. I thought that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I agree. I totally agree. And very lucky, very lucky. I mean, sales, geez, that's where you made your 6 figures. That's where I was able to do that. And it really, you were able to kind of, we lived really, really good. I mean, we live lean. I mean, I'm still in an apartment, for crying out loud. It's a 1-bedroom. Now, yeah, do we are owners and partners on 100 plus units? Sure. But I still live in my 1-bedroom apartment with my wife. And, yeah, I always tell her, like, God, and this is kind of like that other world that we could have went down. It's like, could I have potentially been, $250,000 a year, house in Victor, the car that we want, 2 cars that we wanted, the in-ground pool, but then that would be it. Then you're done, and that's it forever, right? And that's cool,
right?
Super good, very cool, better than what I, better than I deserve, right? But that wasn't where I'm supposed to end. That's not the end story. So, yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, we're both going down this road. This is not finished by any means. This is a daily, where are we going? Sort of thing, because, for us, yeah, we got the flips going, we got this wholesale business, we got this flip business, we got this rental business, and they're all working together. I mean, it is vertical in a way, but it's not, Matt and I, we all know, hey, we're not going to be flipping when we're 40. I'm not going to wholesale when I'm 40, or, I don't even want to do that next year or the next 2 years. Like, I'm already out of that. I'm already like mentally losing the excitement on that, even flipping. I think, yeah, $100,000 checks are cool, but it's almost getting boring. Is that really what it is?
It's a job.
It's a job.
You want to build a business,
Right. Right. Because we're in it. We are the business. There's no there's no way to really not New York, man. Other states maybe I could see it for sure, but not in New York. I just don't see, because there's got to be like a real time cycle, or like there's got to be a real with like in reason when you get paid, right? Like when you close in Florida or Texas and you can close in 14 days, 7 days, like you need predictable revenue.
Right.
You don't get predictable revenue here. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So yeah, and that's kind of where we're at. So we're definitely, but for us, man, we're a little funky, and that's why I want to talk to you, because it's like we're interested in self storage, we're interested in retail plazas, we're interested in, we're not interested in mobile home parks anymore. Well, that I know we're not interested in that, but we're interested, we're curious on things. Is that a negative?
I would say I believe it is, just because there's so many ways to make money, and all of the ways you mentioned, it's just really and for me, it's getting, it was getting clarity on like, what do I want my life to look like? Like with these storage facilities, if I wanted, once I get them up and operational, I could spend 5 hours a week running a facility. Once you get it, you got to get the deal, and I make it sound easy, but like, if you get that one rock solid deal, I mean, where are you going to make, $70,000 or $80,000? And if you wanted to work 5 to 8 hours a week, so, but I think it comes back to like, you got to just pick something and focus. But to my point earlier, you guys are in that fire and doing the flips and the wholesaling. So it's like, you got to keep that going. But I think if you were able to come up with a plan and just focus in on it, you're a way better cold caller than I am, and way more talented with that space, that you would be able to find a deal. But you got to just narrow in on it, in my opinion,
No, thank you. This is what this is about. This is about, hey, this show isn't for me and me only, and the people that want, this is my own way of learning. But no, it's true. I was listening to Ed Milet. I actually went back to his like first shows. They're so good. If you haven't listened to them, they're so good. Yeah, they're so good. I think this is probably where his like a lot of his like mastermind speeches are from like the original ones. He's like forgot to delete them or something because they're unbelievable. But he was saying like, you got to get clear, way more defined, way more. He's like, and that was my advantage over my competitors, because they weren't really sure. They had some, they weren't exactly, crystal clear on their wants and what they were looking for and what they are. So, and that's for us to figure out, that's for us to figure out.
But there's something to that. Like, and I'm just starting to figure it out, and I don't have it 100%, but it's like, we'll have 52. So we'll have close to 80,000 square feet of storage. It's like, I know to get me to my number, we're going to need like 160,000 square feet. So it's like, I know I'm halfway there to get me to my number. If, assuming, some, just kind of basic things, but I need another 80,000 square feet of storage to get me to roughly by $20,000 a month. So that could be a few more deals or whatever that looks like. But yeah, it's just getting clarity on that, I think, has been helpful. And, because it's like, you sent me a deal today, and I just knew it wasn't for me because it doesn't fit my model, but could it work for you? Absolutely. Like it's just, getting kind of having that criteria and like, yep, this is where I buy and this is what I buy and this is how big I'm buying. Because I think once you get a facility, you'll know like there's just as much work in a 20,000 square foot facility as there is a 50,000 square foot facility. So it's like, if you need that 10 or 15,000 square foot facility to get started and learn the business, by all means do it. But, it's like, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to buy a $2 million facility of 42,000 square feet. Like, I didn't even know what that meant. Like, a year ago, I'm like, I don't know what 42,000 square feet means, but like that's a good size facility, decent sized facility. And, so I could keep on going.
300 plus units. It's a unbelievable first one, right? I mean, wouldn't that be unbelievable?
Yeah.
That's not a mini one. That ain't a mini self-storage.
Yeah. So it's just, we're worked out. And, but it's putting yourself in the right spot to get lucky and, taking advantage of an opportunity. And looking back, it's like, man, it's hindsight. But like when you're going through it, I was scared out of my mind, man. Like to buy a $2 million facility, like it looks like it all worked out great now, but it's like I didn't know if it was a deal. Like you think it is, but until you again take that blind faith, take that leap of like your community's telling you it's a deal. You've checked all the boxes. Jamestown's not going to fall off the map. It is in New York, and like one of my fears is people aren't flocking to New York, but it's like there's good businesses, there's good, metrics there that Jamestown's going to be there whether I own, Southside Storage or not, so it's again that, those limiting beliefs creeping in.
That's right.
I think that could, at times you could get to that point and then never pull the trigger,
Did you do a SBA? Is an SBA something that we should consider, or anybody that's looking to do self-storage? What are your thoughts on that?
You can, like there's a Live Oak Bank. That's a storage friendly bank, but there's more like seasoning and requirements, and just the process takes longer. But if the SBA can be very advantageous. Like someone in our community bought one and it was 10% down, and he bought $1 million facility for $100,000 and some change. But for me, like I've talked a little bit on other podcasts, but my business partner is the money guy, right? So like not everyone has access to the $2 million, but my partner was able to buy that facility. And I know listeners are probably thinking, oh, it must be nice. I don't have anyone that give me $2 million, but it's like my business partner, when I first started, I had to beg, borrow, and steal to give me $20,000. So when I was 18, I built a track record, and then he kept following me, and it was like proof of concept. And then now it's like we have that trust. And so it's like, you always have some sort of advantage. And for me, it was learning the business, and that he didn't want anything to do with it, but he had the money and capital. And over time, he's like, man, this has some real legs and makes sense. And fast forward, he's going to be leaving his job, and, we're going to be doing it full time, so I guess it's just, yeah, man, it's just
unfair advantages are great things. Everyone's got one, everyone's got them. And if you're not taking advantage of it, that's a huge mistake.
Right.
Right. It's a huge mistake. So no, that I want to be cognizant of Chris's time, but this has been awesome. I need to have you back on all the time, because I think these are good conversations. It's super mindset heavy. Chris, where can people find you if they want to know more about you, and maybe if they have a self-storage deal and they want to, get your opinion on it, maybe partner with you? How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'd say the best way would be Instagram. It's just Chris. I need to change this handle. And it's Chris Flips Rock. So CHRIS Flips ROC. But yeah, I'm pretty active on social media. Do post some stories and try to just post helpful stuff. And as do you, Marty. I mean, this is cool what you're doing with the podcast, and to have this archive of moments in time, and to look back one day. I think you'll be grateful that you did this. So thanks for motivating me, and a lot of people that you're helping out. I know you're doing a good deal there. So
thanks, brother. Appreciate you a lot. That was Chris Lawrence. He's an absolute beast. I love this guy. So thanks, Chris. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning into the Marty Grisani Show. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, leave us an honest rating and review. If you're on Spotify, make sure you follow us for weekly episodes.